The Live Stream Code and Rating Administration has rated this online event PG. All ages admitted. Please be kind and stay on topic.
This live stream is sponsored by Friendly TV. With over 40 channels, many of them showing your favorite classic TV shows, Friendly TV is the low-cost streaming service for those of us who remember when television was truly special. I've added a link to Friendly TV in the description section of this video. When you use it to try it out free for 7 days, you will also be supporting this channel. Good evening and welcome to another edition, a Friday edition of The Good Stuff Live. My name is pop culture historian Dave Sundstrom, and welcome. It's good to have you all here. Let me go into the comments section and see what is going on here. Looks like we've got Melina Long, who's been here for a few minutes talking a little bit about Patrick Swayze, and Michael Landon as well. Welcome. Good to have you here, Melina. Gary Carpenter. Hey, how's it going? Good to have you with us tonight, Gary. Kenneth Wilkinson. Welcome, welcome. McGanahan, Sky Jellyfetti. It's been a while. Good to have you here with us as well. And that looks like the crew. Oh, no, I spoke too soon. We have got Karen Lester in the chat as well. Good evening, Karen. Cindy D, welcome. Dodge Old School 1972, good to have you here as well. And Yvonne 7715, who says, thank you, Dave, for all you do. You're very welcome. Thank you for being there, out there, and supporting the channel. It's good to have you all here with me tonight. Tonight, the topic on my mind is Star Trek, the original series. I've got some videos that I've got ready to queue up for you that I will share. But first and foremost, I wanted to throw the question out to all of you. Do you have a favorite Star Trek episode? Is there one, when we're talking about the old series, we're talking about the original series, the one that starred William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, DeForest Kelley, James Doohan, Nichelle Nichols. This was, for its time period, for the late 60s. I believe Star Trek debuted in 66. It was just ahead of its time. Gene Roddenberry likened it to a wagon train to the stars, comparing it to an old Western TV series, but it was nothing like that. It really paved created new ground for all of us dreamers that wanted, desired, craved science fiction, and yearned for a palette where our imaginations could go wild, and Star Trek was definitely provided that for all of us. Let's see who else is here in the chat. Adrian James, been a while since I've seen you in the chat. Welcome. Good to have you here with us this evening. And the man known only as Jeff says, the one with the Gorn. Great episode called Arena. And now Arena, I believe, was a season 1 episode, and that's the one where Kirk is fighting a Gorn captain in a gladiator battle supreme. Great episode, and certainly one of my favorites as well. The one with Clint Howard, Ron's little brother. What is that? I can't remember the beverage that he has, the Kirk and McCoy and Spock drink. Has a funny name, but in reality it was grapefruit juice. And Clint didn't like eating that at all, or drinking that at all. All right, let's see what else we've got here. Dodge Old School says The Trouble with Tribbles. Season 2 episode, lighthearted. And of course, the Tribbles were fast multiplying, lots of fun. And that episode had Klingons in it as well. Mr. Led, going to the later feature film, says The Wrath of Khan. Of course, Space Seed was the television episode that, The Wrath of Khan was really a sequel to that TV episode, which also had Ricardo Montalban in it as Khan. Let's see who else we've got here. Melina is talking about Patrick Swayze again. I don't believe Patrick Swayze was ever in Star Trek. Cindy D says MLK Jr. was a Trekkie. The interracial kiss episode, he talked her into staying. She wanted to leave. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I've done a video about Nichelle, and she was actually contemplating leaving Trek at one point, and MLK encouraged her to stick around. He told her she was doing good work on Trek. Tranya, that's what it was called. Thank you, Herbert, so much. Tranya. Now, an interesting thing about that episode as well, Clint Howard, his voice was dubbed for that scene, and which is too bad. I would have liked to have heard Clint's original voice. Yes, Space Seed. Yep, Mr. Led, correct. Gary Carpenter mentions my all-time favorite episode, The City on the Edge of Forever. This is a season 1 episode that's it's a fan favorite with good reason. It's Harlan Ellison was the writer. Now, it was a heavily revised script that finally saw the light of day and was able to make it past the network censors, but it's a great script, and it's got time travel in it. It's got Joan Collins in it. How can you go wrong? Let's see who else we've got here. Danny Staten is here. Welcome. Greetings from Kaysville, Utah. Danny, good to have you here with us this evening. Sakina McMurrin is here. Welcome, Sakina. Kenneth Wilkinson says the Galileo 7. That's was there an episode named Galileo 7? Huh. I mean, I remember the Galileo 7 in episodes of Star Trek, but boy, the Galileo 7 episode, season 1, episode 16. Okay. Yes, I remember this episode well. This is the one where they crash land on the hostile planet. Great one. Let's see who else we've got here. Sean Innes, channel member Sean Innes is here. Sean says hello to everybody. Yeah, Vaughn mentions the Charlie X episode of Trek. That was another great one. I totally agree. And Gary Carpenter points out that Joan Collins, wow, is now 91. Mark T says hello. Hello right back to you, Mark. Good to have you here with us. Adrian says the 2-part episode which had parts of the cage in it. Yeah. It was called the Menagerie, right? Menagerie Part 1 and Part 2. Or is that reverse? I can't remember. Yeah, Melina says that Patrick is not in Star Trek. Yep. Thank you for confirming that. Danny says, I was just watching Star Trek 5 minutes ago, the one where they had stole a cloaking device that Kirk had pointed ears. Yeah, what was the name of that episode? I can't remember that one. Herbert says the Galileo 7 had Futureland of the Giant Star, Don Marshall in it. Good evening, Tammy. Welcome. Good to have you here. Sakina reminds everybody to give this live stream a thumbs up. Surely would be appreciated. Thank you so much. All right. It seems like we have a bit of a break. Here's what we're going to do. I have some videos queued up. I think we'll play the first of the videos that I'm going to share this evening, and then we'll come back and talk more about Star Trek. So hold tight, folks. Thanks so much for joining me this evening. We'll be back very soon. The original Star Trek television series is about as iconic as they come. And since its debut over 50 years ago, this particular set of actors set the bar for each of the characters that they played. Especially these two. There was a time when I couldn't imagine anyone else besides Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner playing Mr. Spock and Captain Kirk. And now that I think about it, I've got to include DeForest Kelley as well. His Dr. McCoy was just the perfect amount of crankiness to offset Spock's infuriating logic. These three are probably my all-time favorite trio on television. they were just so darn good together. However, would you believe that there was a moment while Gene Roddenberry and team were still casting the original version of Star Trek where Leonard Nimoy was not the frontrunner for the role of Mr. Spock? It's true. You see, Gene had another actor in mind for the role. An actor that, I know it sounds kind of crazy saying it out loud, but here goes. The actor that Gene had in mind for Mr. Spock was none other than George Lindsay. That's right, good old Goober Pyle from Mayberry, North Carolina. I know, I'm still scratching my head about this one as well. However, one must remember that around the mid-60s there weren't many shows more popular than the Andy Griffith Show, and after Gomer headed off to the Marines, George was getting some pretty serious screen time on the show, and I'm betting that's how he caught Gene's eye. Now, if you're still kind of doubting this little bit of Trek trivia, we could head on over to the MeTV website where I'll present this article as Exhibit A. You could also check out George Lindsay's Wikipedia entry, which mentions that he was aware that he was being considered for that legendary role. Or perhaps the most interesting source to verify this claim is actor Ernest Borgnine. In his autobiography titled Ernie, Borgnine, who was a close friend of George's, confirms that his buddy was pretty darn close to leaving Mayberry for good to embark on a 5-year interstellar voyage. It should probably also be mentioned that while George Lindsay may have been Gene Roddenberry's first choice to play Mr. Spock, he wasn't the only actor that was considered. Apparently, there was some talk about asking Martin Landau to audition for the role. Truthfully, that one actually makes a ton of sense to me. But there was another actor that again just kinda makes me scratch my noggin a little bit. Apparently Michael Dunn was also considered for the role. Now don't get me wrong, I think that Michael is a wonderful actor. But I also think it's fair to say that if he had been cast as Spock, he would have been a dramatically different version than the one that we came to know and love. So what do you think? Please share your thoughts in the comment section, and while you're at it, I'd love a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and I would be absolutely honored if you would consider subscribing to my channel. I talk about music, movies, and mostly TV from decades gone by. You know, the good stuff. I have another video about Leonard Nimoy that I bet you would enjoy watching. There it is. Go ahead and click on it. I am done here. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, the video isn't there. Yeah, that's for the actual video as it appears on YouTube. But certainly you can find it if you hit my channel or visit my channel and search for Leonard Nimoy. Lots of videos there. So we've had some folks pop in and a couple comments I wanted to highlight. One, Mr. Led mentioned Mirror Mirror, which is a great season 2 episode where the cast of the Enterprise visits a parallel universe with evil versions of themselves. That's a lot of fun. Great. I'm glad you mentioned that, Mr. Ladd. Mark Burchett, just down the road from me here, says hello. Good to have you here with us tonight, Mark. Joe Black says Leonard Nimoy was awesome as Spock, but Martin Landau would have been an interesting choice. Agreed. My old friend, my good friend, Scott Barnes. Hey, we need to do lunch one of these times, Scott. We need to catch up. Great to have you here with us this evening. And Mr. Led says, Martin Landau. Yes, Goober? No way. And then Sakina points out that Martin was, of course, in Mission Impossible. And Cindy says that Martin would have been great. Let's see. Raja 1938 is here with us this evening, and Raja 1938 says, a shame that they didn't have Landau guest star as a Vulcan. He would have looked great in the makeup. I totally agree. Let's see. Karen Lester shares this memory. She says, my sister loved Star Trek. She had lots of models, and I barely remember her taking me to a Star Trek convention when I was very young. Such great memories now that she's gone. You know, I was on a podcast. I was being interviewed earlier today by my friend Pat McCormack, and he was asking about my favorite TV shows, and one of them that I mentioned was Star Trek. And we were talking about a lot of different shows, and we were talking about why these shows are important to us and why they matter. And one of the reasons is the shows connect us to memories that sometimes have very little to do with the actual show itself. I have very vivid, strong memories of my mother, and who has left us, who's passed away, and watching the Andy Griffith Show. And so when I see a particular episode, sometimes I'll feel my mother. I'll feel her with me. And it's that kind of power that all sorts of media has. Music has that power as well. Tamara Zachary, welcome to the live stream tonight. Good to have you here. Mark says, always. Yes, it's a treat to have you, my friend. Jason Goldtrap's here as well and says, David O. Selznick's called Groucho Marx, offering him the role of Rhett Butler in Gone with the Wind. Groucho laughed hysterically and hung up the phone. Thank you for that factoid, my friend. Good to have you with us here this evening. Mike Silva says, watching Pluto TV for Star Trek, the original series. Yeah, I recognize that Pluto TV has a lot of Star Trek on it. Of course, this live stream is being sponsored by Friendly TV, so I'd be remiss if I didn't say that Friendly TV, of course, has Heroes and Icons. That's one of the channels there. And I have the DVR feature. It's just a couple bucks more to get the DVR added to. It's an unlimited cloud-based DVR. It records you can record everything to your heart content, and it holds it for you for 3 months. And I've got so many episodes of Star Trek recorded that way. And I prefer it for one really very simple reason. One, I can watch these shows on demand, particular episodes, and two, I can skip through the commercials. Herbert Turner says Michael Dunn would have been interesting and groundbreaking as Spock. Totally agree. Totally agree. Would have been so different, right? Channel member Sean Innes says, when I do put on a beard, I eventually get sick of it, chop it down to the evil version of Sean, taking it all down. I don't know what that's about, but thanks for sharing, Sean. Let's see. Joe Black says, oh, Karen, glad you had a wonderful sis to turn you on to this amazing geek stuff. So much fun. And Mike Silva mentions Far Out Space Nuts, another fun science fiction show, much less serious show that starred Chuck McCann and Bob Denver. And Gary Carpenter points out that Martin Landau did end up doing science fiction in terms of working on Gary Anderson's Space 1999. Yeah, absolutely. Lots of folks are pointing that out. And speaking of Gary Anderson, of course, Gary Anderson had done Fireball X-15, Thunderbirds, and so many other shows. Tuck Graff says Flashback Friday for me means Tarzan, Wild Wild West, and Star Trek 1,000 years ago. Hey, Dave. Hey, Tuck Graff. Good to have you with us. And Melina continues to point out that Michael Landon is not in Star Trek either. Let's see. Raja 1938 says that Shout Studios YouTube channel streams Space 1999. I saw that. That's really cool. And Sakina says, I can relate, Dave. Watch these shows with my parents who have passed on. I think many of us have done that, right? Gary Carpenter says, I saw a video of Spock and Kirk going through Time Gate and they ended up in Mayberry. That episode is, of course, City on the Edge of Forever, and they used the same set. And if you have a sharp eye, you will see Floyd's Barbershop on that episode. Okay, other science fiction shows that folks are mentioning that they really like, of course, Space 1999, Alf, The Lost Saucer. Good stuff. Let's see. And Sean Innes says he was referring, of course, to the Mirror Mirror episode with the evil Van Dyke Spock. Sorry for the typo. I'm on my phone. Oh, makes total sense now. Thanks for the clarification, Sean. Okay, we're at a good point, and we will get back to all these wonderful memories and these great chat comments in just a minute. But I'm going to play a vintage commercial and follow that up with, I'm going to play a handful of vintage commercials, I should say. And then I'm going to follow that up with another video of mine about how Gene Roddenberry drove the censors crazy. So we'll be back in just a few minutes to talk more and to engage with the comments in the chat.
We'll return after these messages.
Don't hide it. Flash 'em your copper tone tan. Flash 'em the dark tan. Flash 'em the fast tan. Flash 'em a copper tone tan.
Get the tan you've gotta flash with copper tone lotion, butter, oil. Then turn it loose.
Flash 'em the dark tan. Flash 'em the fast tan. Flash 'em a copper tone tan. Flash 'em a copper tone tan.
I want to audition for the school review.
Sparkles are special. What's special about you?
I'm no ordinary high stepper. I'm a pepper.
We're peppers too.
I'm a pepper, she's a pepper, we're a pepper, he's a pepper. Would you like to be a pepper too? We're a pepper, he's a pepper.
I thought I saw a pepper cat.
Being a pepper is where it's at.
If you drink Dr. Pepper, you're a pepper too.
Be a pepper, drink Dr. Pepper.
Polaroid's One Step is the simplest camera in the world. You just press one button.
How many does it have?
One.
And that's all you can press.
Polaroid's One Step is the world's simplest camera. You never have to focus.
Never?
No, never.
You know how long never is?
Polaroid's One Step is the world's simplest camera.
You mean the world's simplest camera?
That's what I said.
That's what I said.
Polaroid's One Step, the world's simplest camera.
Can you prove that?
Don't you believe me?
I don't even know you.
Double jumping for a double score. Double splashing good times. Keep you coming back for more. But the single most favorite double in the world is double good, double mint gum.
Double your pleasure with Double Mint Gum. Double good, double fresh, double delicious.
Double good, double mint gum.
Double your pleasure with Double Mint Gum.
I like to call this particular instant Roddenberry's last laugh because he definitely got it. So, what am I talking about? Well, the 60s were a pretty incredible time for TV. One of my favorite decades for sure. In fact, 3 of my all-time favorite TV shows came from this decade. I'm talking about The Andy Griffith Show, Batman, and this show, Star Trek. Growing up, I spent countless hours in Mayberry, Gotham City, and traveling the stars with the crew of the Starship Enterprise. And of those 3 shows, only Star Trek seemed to continually be running afoul with the network censors. Roddenberry's vision of the future required the scriptwriters to continually push the envelope, presenting ideas that made the viewer think. And sometimes those ideas could make someone a bit uncomfortable as well. It certainly made the network standards and practices executives at NBC nervous. They had a list of rules for Roddenberry and team, and for the most part, they did their very best to adhere to those guidelines. Little known fact, this historic scene was filmed 2 ways, one with Kirk and Uhura kissing, and another where they merely embraced. Legend has it that while filming the scene, Shatner purposefully botched the scene with the hug, so there would be no choice as to which one should be used. But that's not the incident that I have to believe drove the censors absolutely freaking nutty. Nope, instead I'm talking about an incident that started during the filming of a Season 3 episode titled All Our Yesterdays, starring the very lovely Mariette Hartley. Originally, Mariette's costume had been designed to show a little bit more skin, including her exposed belly button. You know, I find it hard to believe back in the 60s, TV shows weren't allowed to show exposed navels. I'm not sure why, but the network censors, those good old standards and practices people, would shut that down every time they saw it. Now that doesn't mean that Star Trek hadn't been able to sneak a couple of quick flashes of belly buttons past those guys, but it was rare for it to happen. It just wasn't allowed back then, and Mariette's character's costume on camera for a great deal of that episode, well, it had an exposed belly button to start, and the censor said that just couldn't happen. And like I said earlier, it wasn't just Star Trek. Although TV's first belly button was in a scene from an episode of Dr. Kildare during the early 60s, programs like Gilligan's Island and I Dream of Jeannie were subject to this belly button ban. Apparently, the censors didn't want us to think they existed. For the record, All Our Yesterdays is a wonderful episode of Star Trek, and Mariette is absolutely terrific in it. And she made a great impression on Gene Roddenberry. She must have, because a few years later, when Gene was putting together the television movie Genesis 2, she was invited to be part of the cast. And here's the fun part, and I have to believe that this decision made the network censors go absolutely bonkers. And maybe smile a little bit as well. You see, from 1969 to 1973, the rules had changed a bit, and it turned out an exposed navel, well, it wasn't a big deal. So Mariette's character in that movie was not just given one, but 2 belly buttons. I have got to believe that that little touch was Roddenberry's way of doubling down and sending a message to the censors saying, leave me alone and let me do my thing. I guess it goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. I am a huge fan of this man's work. His legacy is indeed a rich one, primarily because, despite all of our shortcomings as human beings, Gene Roddenberry envisioned a future that was full of promise and hope. It's an idea that is as important now as it has ever been. We are capable of great things, and those great things can be accomplished by each one of us through small acts of kindness and compassion that we are capable of doing each day. 2 belly buttons? That's hilarious, Gene. You're too much. So that's it. Please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section, and while you're at it, I'd love a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and I would be honored if you would consider subscribing to my channel. I talk about music, movies, and mostly TV from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, the good stuff. And guess what? Here's another video about Leonard Nimoy's final message that I bet you would enjoy watching. Go ahead and click on it. I'm done here. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah, we're not going to get to that one either. Of course, please visit my channel. And if you want to watch that video, all you have to do is search for Leonard Nimoy and you will find it. Let's get to some of these comments that I starred while we were watching those videos. Tuckgraph said the family would make Chef Boyardee pizza, and boy, do I remember that. It was so much fun to make that. It didn't taste all that great, but it was so much fun to make. And then, of course, Jiffy Pop popcorn. That's a lot of work. I'm so spoiled by microwave popcorn now that we actually bought some Jiffy Pop not that long ago, and that was a lot of work, all that shaking you have to do over the stove. Sakina says, we had movie night with the whole family. That is awesome. Jason suggests a recast of Star Trek. Now, this is not the cast as it was seen in the original series, but rather if that show had been recast. I like some of these suggestions. Jeffrey Hunter, of course, is Captain Kirk. That works. Martin Landau as Spock. Milburn Stone, of course, from Gunsmoke as Dr. McCoy. Ernest Borgnine as Scotty. That's an interesting one. And I totally see Davy Jones as Chekhov. I love that. And then going back to the Dr. Pepper commercial, Tuckgraph says they used to dance for soft drinks. Now it's pharmaceuticals. Well, they know the audience, right? Back then we were drinking soda. Now we're more interested in the drugs. Joe Black says Friday Nights in Milwaukee 78 was awesome. Channel 18 would play an awesome genre film like Bomba or Tarzan or Charlie Chan, followed by a movie serial like Zombies of the Stratosphere. What great memories there. And Raja 1938, going back to the video about Gene Roddenberry, Censorship, and Mariette Hartley says censors had a weird view of the human navel. I don't recall if men's navels garnered the same attention, though. They did not. All right, let's see what else we've got going here. Let me scroll down. Another comment that came in while we were watching those videos was from Mark. He says, now they allow anything on TV. That is very true. And commercial television, not just cable, right? Mark also points out that some of Gene's ashes orbit the Earth. Indeed, they do. And Gary's talking about Gene's wife, the intrepid Majel Roddenberry, who, of course, has left us as well now, but was the voice of the Enterprise. And Deanna Troy's mother, she was wonderful. Mr. Led says that Mariette also played in a classic Twilight Zone episode. I don't think I've seen that one. I need to. And, okay. Recasting Trek. Jason says Majel Barrett as Uhura. Cindy D says, Jiffy Pop on the stove, laugh out loud. Yeah, that's, it's so much fun to do it, but it is an exercise. It's a workout for the hand there and the arm. Let's see what, I'm not quite sure what this is referring to. Two brothers and a sister. We had the workers. Clue me in. I must have missed something in the chat. McGanahan says, I always ended up burning the popcorn in the microwave. You know what? I end up either burning it or I end up with just some kernels that don't get popped. Usually the latter because I'm too nervous about burning it. Let's see what we have here. Gary Carpenter says that he met Major Barrett Roddenberry at a Star Trek convention in Charlotte in '94. Sydney says we now need drugs because of too much soda. And Gary points out that at least originally, back in the early 1900s, Coca-Cola did have cocaine in it. Mark T says, I remember watching the Time Tunnel show with my mom on Friday nights. Great memories. Yeah, indeed. Hey, it's Albert, not a retro. Great to have you with us this evening. Raja 1938 says, never watched Time Tunnel. Need to look it up if anyone streams it. Again, if you got Friendly TV, they have played that. It's either on MeTV or on Heroes and Icons. I can't remember which one. I've got a bunch recorded. Tut Graf says that was Chef Boyardee and Jiffy Pop. The work was a work of love. I love it. Oh, I see what you're talking about. Yeah. Okay. And Gary Carpenter says that Weird Food History has a video on Diet Coke. I'll have to check it out. Although right now I'm just sipping on some water, trying to do better. Herbert Turner says the Doomsday Machine. Yeah, great episode. William Wyndham. What a wonderful, wonderful actor. And Sol Kaplan scores epic. Hey, Colt 49ers, good to have you here with us this evening. And look at this, a super chat from Albert Nada Retro. Let me bring on William Shatner to share my feelings.
No, I thank you. And again, I thank you.
That's not enough. Let's do one other. How about a little Charo? Is it Charo or Charo? I always get it wrong. Let's go with Charo. And Charo holds the record for the most appearances on the Love Boat. I think it's like 15. Just below her is Florence Henderson. Thank you so much for the super chat. That's too kind of you. Really appreciate it, Albert, not a retro. Let's see. Colt 49er says, I've been watching Night Court, the old one, though. Yeah, it's mostly what I watch as well. I love the old one. I have been trying to watch the new one, but some episodes are easier to watch than others. Justin asks how long the live stream's been going. Since 10:15 Eastern, so just a little over half an hour. Gary Carpenter says, I didn't get to see Time Tunnel. It was before my time. And Sakina says, I love The Land of the Giants. And there we go. Time Tunnel is on MeTV on Saturday nights. Thank you so much. Albert Not a Retro says, Get Alive. One of my favorite shows, by the way. One of my all-time favorite shows. Danny Staten says, Storm knocked my internet out for 6 minutes. I missed something. Drat. Well, you can catch it on the replay, my friend. Gary Carpenter says, Ultraman and the Space Giants I got to watch. And Adrienne says, I have the Time Tunnel on DVD. Jason says, hey, Dave, what is that novelty song about the Batmobile from the 1970s? What is the title of that? Oh my gosh. I'll tell you what, I will find that and we will play that at the end of this live stream for you if you stick around, Jason. Let's see. Danny says, I bought the Time Tunnel DVD set at Walmart. Nice. Colt 49er says, I found out that John LaRoquette, a.k.a. Dan Fielding, is the only one still alive besides Roz. Yeah, we just lost oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank on Bull Shannon, the actor who plays Bull. I should know it. I've done videos on him. Great guy, but I'm drawing a blank at the moment. It happens when you're doing these live streams. Kenan says, I like Lost in Space. And Roger1938 says, I heard on the new Night Court, John Larroquette dresses up like a Klingon, like his role in Search for Spock. I don't remember seeing that. Of course, I haven't watched all the new episodes. Mark says, I have the entire Ultraman series on DVD. Nice. Richard Mall, thank you so much. Tammy, thank you so much. Everybody's helping me out with that one. Sean Innes, Sakina McMurrin. And look, we've got channel member Music Girl 67, a.k.a. Ms. Elizabeth here hanging out. Says, hello there and good evening, everyone. Hoping you all are doing well. If you have plans this Memorial Day weekend, make them special in honor of those who made the ultimate sacrifice. I love that. Thank you so much for hanging out with us this evening, Ms. Elizabeth. Tutgraph says, I caught Time Tunnel when Dish had Me TV. That's a great Saturday night lineup. Yeah, for sure. Adrian wants to know if I like the original Avengers with Diana Rigg and Patrick McNee. Yes, I did. Wasn't my favorite. I kind of hold it in the same place as I really enjoyed also The Prisoner with Patrick McGowan. But I really did enjoy it. Gary says that June Lockhart is 90 something now. Albert Nato Retro says Shatner on SNL. Yes, the Get a Life. That's what your reference to Get a Life was. Makes a lot of sense. Classic skit. Classic because there were a lot of folks that actually did need to get a life. Still one of my favorite TV shows, though. McGanahan Sky Jellyfetty says John Buddy Aston is still alive. And Danny Staten says, I just discovered Attack of the 50-Foot Cheerleader from 2015, trashiest movie ever. Did you find it on Tubi? That sounds like something you'd find on Tubi. Justin says, I just saw America Tonight clip with Barbara Eden and Melissa Gilbert on YouTube. It was funny. They played along with Martin. I'll have to check that one out. And Ken has all 3 seasons of Lost in Space. Joe Black says, Get a Life was amazing. Pressed against the stage of Chicago's Riviera Club, David Bowie and Tin Machine played Get a Life on stage television sets before they hit the stage. Interesting. Is that a song that Tin Machine did? Let's see. Gary Carpenter says, I have Ultraman both seasons. And Jason Goldtrup says, I drove through the Stones River Battlefield Cemetery in Murfreesboro, Tennessee today. Thousands of graves. Take a moment to honor our fallen veterans. Absolutely. Wendy Cornfine says, during the filming of Batman, the Riddler, Frank Gorshin, lived right next door to us. How cool is that? One of the great classic villains from the Batman TV series. Let's see. Music Girl 67 says, hey, Dave, did you hear that Indian Day Beaufort? Yeah, Olivia Moore from the new Night Court will not be returning for season 3. Yeah, I read that yesterday, I think. I think she posted something on Instagram about that. Very gracious in her departure. I got to say, I never really connected with the Olivia Moore character, or maybe India's portrayal of Olivia. I felt like it was a little over the top. And we're moving into season 3 of the new rebooted version of Night Court. That's really when the old series really found got things going. I mean, that's when we had Marky Post join as Christine Sullivan. So I'm hoping for really good things for season 3 of that show. Herbert Turner says that June Lockhart turns 99 next month. Gary Carpenter says, I didn't get to see the Avengers or the Man from U.N.C.L.E. or the Girl from U.N.C.L.E. as well, but loved $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman. Lots of folks talking to each other. Yes, Todd Graff points out that controversial episode that Frank Gorshin was in. That was the one where the society there were 2 cultures. One had the black side of the face and the white side of the face, and they had them split right down the middle. And then the other race just had the colors reversed. Really interesting episode that makes you think. Then Wayne, welcome to the live stream, says, just got Johnny Sacco and his flying robot on that DVD. Still remember watching it on KBSC TV channel 52. Justin, aka the Braidwood Inn, says, what's the deal with Night Court having 3 different court clerks in the early seasons? I think they were just trying to kind of figure things out, and I think the new version is doing that as well. Gary Carpenter says that Jill St. John is still married to Robert Wagner. Let's see. Take care, Mike. Good to have you with us this evening. And Zen Wayne, thank you for the super sticker. Really appreciate it. Very kind of you. Let me find a way to say thank you to you as well. Oh, you know what? You can never go wrong with Spider-Man.
Someone is trying to embarrass me.
What, you don't like that Spider-Man? How about this Spider-Man? I still think I might like the Electric Company Spider-Man better. Hey, thanks for that, Super Stickers and Wayne. Really appreciate it. And Albert Nada Retro does another super chat saying, did a Trek tribute with Cash's cover of Hurt? Huh. That would be cool. Now, is that on your channel, Albert Nada Retro? I'll have to check it out if it is. I'd love to see that. So thank you so much for the super chat, and follow up on that for me and let me know where this tribute is. If it's on YouTube, I'll definitely check it out and maybe even share it on my community page. Very cool stuff, and let's find a way to say thank you. How about a little, yeah, P.W. Herman. And if P.W. Herman isn't your thing, thanks so much for your support. Again, truly appreciate it, and definitely follow up on that with me. All right, let's see what else we've got going here. Cindy D says, I loved Paula Kelly, R.I.P. Oh, man, I should know who Paula Kelly is. Clearly, it sounds like that's someone I should know. Let me look this up. Paula Kelly, American actress and singer, passed away in February of 2020. Okay. I don't remember her. I'm trying to think what she was. What was she in? Was she in Night Court? Man. You got me. You guys answer that question for me if you would. I'd appreciate that, Cindy D. Yes, that was a great episode with Frank Gorshin. Robert James is watching MASH while watching this. Thanks for multitasking with us. Hey, Karen Lee. Good to have you with us. Yeah, I ended up with a little bit of extra time, so it's kind of short notice, but thanks for joining me. Appreciate it. Tuck Graff says the original Night Court is showing on Night Court, or has been recently. You got to mean a network there instead of Night Court showing on Night Court. Let's see. Rajan 1938 says, I recall the 2 earlier court clerks before Roz both passed away during, yes, one of them was Selma. I'm drawing a blank on her last name. She was great, though. I loved her. I actually did a video on her a while back. Let's see. McGanahan Sky Jellyfetty says, I used to think that Night Court was a spinoff from Cheers because of Harry Anderson, who was on Cheers playing a character named Harry. Kind of made it confusing. Yeah. Scott Barnes says, thank you for your service, Zen Wayne. That is awesome. Oh, and Zen Wayne liked the Pee Wee Herman one better instead of the was that? Oh wait, no, that was the Spider-Man. Yeah, I like the Electric Company Spider-Man as well. Nicholas Hammond was great, though, no doubt about it. Nicholas Hammond was great. All right, I'm losing track of the comments. Paula Kelly was on Night Court. Thanks so much for pointing that out, folks. Selma Diamond is who I'm thinking of. I need to go back and watch some of those earlier seasons of Night Court because I clearly could. I need, it's great when your research, when you need to get up to speed on something, is just going back and watching TV shows. I love it. But I do want to get us back on topic. At least we're talking about Star Trek here. That was the plan. Now we can talk about anything, but I do have one more Star Trek video, and let's go ahead and tee that up now, and then we'll come back. And who knows what we'll do. I know I have another special sponsor message. I got stuff. We got stuff. As a matter of fact, let's do this. Let's do the sponsored message first from Friendly. Then we're going to do a vintage message, a very short one about Starlog magazine. Who remembers that? And then we'll go right into my final Star Trek video of the evening. So, hey, hang tight, folks. We'll be right back.
And now, this message.
Starlog magazine will take you on an incredible science fiction trip into the realm of Star Trek, the Wrath of Khan, into deep space and the Tron computer world, into the Star Wars galaxy for previews of Revenge of the Jedi. Starlog magazine shows you special effects secrets, blueprints and robots, spaceships and aliens, interviews with writers, movie makers, heroes, and villains. Starlog is the most popular science fiction magazine in the solar system. You can buy it in magazine stands, but right now you can save money by subscribing for 6 fantastic issues. Send your name and address in just $11.99 to Starlog, Box 2111, Grand Central Station, New York, New York. That's $11.99 to Box 2111. And if you subscribe right now, you'll get a free surprise gift with your first issue. Join the exciting world of Starlog, the magazine of the future.
This is Dave Sundstrom. Welcome to another video celebrating entertainment from decades gone by. You know, the good stuff. Lately, I've been reading a bunch of interviews that Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry gave during the 80s. These articles are a ton of fun to read because they were written at a time when Gene was enjoying a Star Trek renaissance. The 80s truly did signify a rebirth for the franchise. After the original television series was canceled in 1969, the decade that followed saw the Star Trek fanbase refuse to die. Reruns of the program, along with a new animated series in 1973, and novelizations that were either direct adaptations from the show or inspired by the original series, kept everyone's hopes up until Star Trek the Motion Picture was released during the 1979 holiday season. And during the 70s, Roddenberry had plenty of time to reflect on how the show had been treated by its network, NBC. And you know what? After reading a bunch of these interviews with Roddenberry, I think it's fair to say that Gene didn't have any fond feelings for the Peacock network. No love lost at all. In fact, I think it's fair to say that Gene felt like he had handed NBC this amazing, wonderful gift, and well, they pretty much just took a giant metaphorical space dookie on it. One article in particular, written by James Calloway in 1982 in the Raleigh, North Carolina News and Observer, goes a long way to paint the picture of just exactly how mistreated Gene felt. In that article, the great bird of the galaxy points out that sacrifices had been made to produce Star Trek to the network's liking. In that interview, Gene declared, "Every member of our staff was in the hospital at one time or another for nervous exhaustion. There were 3 divorces out of the 5 people on my staff. I feel bitter about the time I never spent with my kids. I've made up for it in part, but it's not entirely possible." So Gene and his staff went through all that, and then NBC wanted to cancel Star Trek after the show's 2nd season. Could that cause him to hate the network? Well, I'll let you be the judge. Ultimately, a slight uptick in the ratings and a grassroots letter-writing campaign saved the show and allowed Roddenberry and team to produce a 3rd season. And while fans of Star Trek often point out that the final season isn't just up to the high standards set by the first two, there are still some great episodes there. And thankfully, Gene, at the very least, didn't have to deal with network executives telling him that Mr. Spock needed to be removed from the program. Yeah, they really asked him to do that at the beginning of the first season. He also didn't have to fight battles with the network over issues like wanting to have an ethnically diverse cast. Those battles had been fought, and for the most part, they'd been won. In that same 1982 article, Gene states very clearly that both Desilu and NBC really didn't like Star Trek, and because of that, he and the rest of the creative team carried a bit of a chip on their shoulders. Their motto was, "Let's show the bastards. Let's prove them wrong." And prove them wrong they did. So much so that Star Trek is forever etched in the tapestry of our culture. And as time has gone on, further proving Gene's point, the lines between fiction and reality have crossed time and time again. Thankfully, Gene's hopeful and optimistic vision of the future, well, it doesn't seem that far away. So getting back to the original question, did Gene Roddenberry hate NBC? Well, like I said earlier, he certainly didn't love them. But I think in the end, he may have realized that he and the show's creative team may have done their very best work while feeling the constant pressure of the network that controlled the program's fate. However he felt, I'm just grateful that a visionary like Gene Roddenberry was around to make it all happen. Okay, folks, please share your thoughts in the comments section, and while you're at it, I'd love a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. And you know what? I have another video about Leonard Nimoy that I bet you would enjoy watching. There it is. Go ahead and click on it. I'm done here. But before you go, thank you so much for watching. Yeah, again, if you want to watch that video, go check out my channel. I've got lots of videos about Trek as well as a handful of Leonard Nimoy videos. Definitely someone that I really admire, and well, big part of my formative youth and was watching the original version of Star Trek. All right, let me get to some comments here. Adrian James says the cartoon Star Trek was good. Yeah, it was. It was really good. Probably one of the best things that Filmation ever did. It debuted in 1973, and many Star Trek fans were against it. They didn't know. They had no idea the quality that show would be and there would have. And as a result, there were a lot of protests, a lot of fans that were trying to get that cartoon version stopped. Of course, they wanted another live action version. Let's see. Robert James -Life says, I met 3 of the original crew. How cool is that? And Wendy Cornfine, who mentioned earlier that they lived near Frank Gorshin, says, gave us kids promotional memorabilia, including a 45-speed record that records his Riddler laugh, which I wish I had kept the stuff. Yeah, there's so much stuff that I'm sure we all wish we kept that got thrown away. Let's see what else we've got here. Raja1938 points out that Starlog had a ton of their back issues burned down in a warehouse fire. Yeah, I think it was early 2000s. It's so sad. So sad that happened. And McGanahan Sky Jellyfetti says it seems like networks back then canceled a lot of great shows for no real reason. So very true. So very true. Sakina says Gene Roddenberry was ahead of his time, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Where else did Roddenberry go? I'm grateful to NBC that it happened. Well, later on, he went on and created this wonderful syndicated program called Star Trek: The Next Generation. Let's see what else we've got here. Raja1938 says Roddenberry only agreed to do The Next Generation because it would be syndicated and not tied to a network. There you go. There you go. Let's see. Lance is making a roast tomorrow. Okay, great. Let me scroll down here. Yes, Gary Carpenter says Planet of the Apes was both a live show and a cartoon. It was. I enjoyed both. And Lance says, hey, Dave. Hey, Lance. Good to have you here with us. I'm glad to hear you're feeling better. Robert James-Life says Wagon Train in Space. That is how Gene Roddenberry pitched Star Trek to the network. All right. We've got about 5 minutes left before we hit the top of the hour. There's a couple of things that I want to do. One is I have got a quiz here, a Star Trek quiz. I want everybody to play along with me and tell me how you did once we're done. And then, as promised, if Jason Goldtrap has stuck around, he asked for a song from the 70s. I'm featuring, I think this is the one he's talking about, featuring Adam West in a rather unique version of the Batmobile. So we'll do that on our way out of here tonight. So let's go ahead and play a little Star Trek trivia, and then I will be right back. It's time to test your trivia knowledge. But before we get started, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And most importantly, after you've finished, please share your score in the comments section of this video. All right. Are you ready? Let's get going. What actor from Star Trek lost his right middle finger during World War II? Was it James Doohan, DeForest Kelley, Walter Koenig, or George Takei? The correct answer is James Doohan. What is Lieutenant Uhura's first name? Is it Ariana, Erica, Kiana, or Nyota? The correct answer is Nyota. In the city on the edge of forever, what will happen if Edith Keeler lives a full life? Dr. McCoy doesn't exist, humanity will perish, the Nazis will win World War II, or a zombie apocalypse? The correct answer is the Nazis will win World War II. What role did Majel Barrett first play on Star Trek? Christine Chappell, Edith Keeler, Number One, or who the heck is Majel Barrett? Correct answer is Number One. Which actor did not reprise his role in the animated version of Star Trek? DeForest Kelley, James Doohan, George Takei, or Walter Koenig? The correct answer is Walter Koenig. All right, hang tight, folks. We've got more trivia in just a moment.
Time and space. These limitations affect us all. How can you conserve precious time and expand your working space? With an Edmonton Telephone's beeper. An inexpensive way to keep in touch for important calls and messages while you're away from home or office. If you're needed, you'll know instantly. And no one needs to know where you are. Edmonton Telephones, your total communications company, will save you time and money. Call Edmonton Telephones now. Tell them Leonard Nimoy gave you the message.
Hello out there. I'm Mr. Sulu of Star Trek. When I'm out in space, I use the Starship Enterprise to get around. When I'm here in Milwaukee, I ride the bus to save time and money. Your $5 weekly pass is a great buy. Your bus tickets, the greatest. Take it from a man who knows. Your Milwaukee County transit system is really out of this world.
Come ride with us on the bus.
Hi, I'm Chris, and this is Anna with MCI. She recently started a great friends and family calling circle.
A group of friends that wanted to get back in touch.
I believe I actually said we should resume communicating.
And Anna called me.
Then I signed up.
I joined next.
Then she called me. Then him. She obviously saved the best for last.
Oh, that's why she called me next.
I believe you're in the wrong circle.
Who's that?
There seems to be some error.
Call and start saving an extra 20% on calls to your own friends and family circle.
What is Captain Kirk's middle name? Is it Tanner, Tiberius, Tobias, or Tyler? The correct answer is Tiberius. What network was Star Trek on? Was it ABC, CBS, NBC, or PBS? The correct answer is NBC. What television series project morphed into Star Trek the Motion Picture? Was it Star Trek Beyond, Star Trek The New Voyages, Star Trek Phase 2, or Star Trek Returns? The correct answer is Star Trek Phase 2. How many times did Khan appear during the original series run? 1 time, 2 times, 4 times, or 7 times? The correct answer is 1 time. What character joined the show at the beginning of the 2nd season? Was it Hikaru Sulu, Janice Rand, Nyota Uhura, or Pavel Chekhov? The correct answer is Chekhov. How did you do? Don't forget to share your score in the comments section. And if you're up for the challenge, here's another fun trivia video for you to match your wits against. Thank you so much for playing, and regardless of your score, you are awesome. You are all awesome. You're so great for hanging out with me tonight. I appreciate you all. Okay, let's look at some scores here. Channel member Sean Innes was 9 for 10. How's that? Very awesome. Cindy D, 6 of 10. Jason Goldrep, 9 out of 10. Good job, Jason. Looks like McGinnihan was 4 of 10, maybe. Got 4 right, got 6 wrong. David C was 6 out of 10. Tuck Graff says, no moss, no moss. Kenneth Wilkinson says, I got 8 right. Yeah, thanks for joining us. Channel member Robert Pons, also known as Thrash Pondo Pons, is here, and great to have you with us, even as we wind things down. Yeah, definitely play with us in the replay. Zen Dwayne got 8 out of 10, 3 for 3 for Thrash. Herbert Turner, perfect score, 10 out of 10. Karen Lester got 5 right. You know what? Not so bad either. Not so bad. Raja, 1938, 10 out of 10. Mark T, 7 out of 10. Albert Nada Retro, perfect score. Nicely done. Gary Carpenter, 8 out of 10. Sakina McMurrin, 10 out of 10. Man known only as Jeff, 10 out of 10. All right, that's it for scores. Let me see. Yeah, looks like that's it. Wow, thanks for playing, folks, and thanks for hanging out with me this evening, talking a little Trek, among other things, right? So, as promised to Jason Goldtrap, I've got a little Batman song to take us out of here. Hey, y'all have a great Memorial Day weekend, and to those who have served, who have given so much to our country this weekend, thank you for your service. If you've lost family members, let know that we are thinking of them this weekend and honoring them. So great. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk to you all soon. All right, let's bring on Batman. Where's Adam West when you need him? Here we go.
Holy jailbreaks! Yes, sir. I'll pass that message on.
Who was that, Robin?
Commissioner Gordon, Batman. The tickler broke out again. And he's taken several prominent citizens as hostages.
This looks like a job for the dynamic duo.
When you hear the squeal of the Batmobile, look out, it's Batman and Robin. On the trail of another desperate man. When they hear that sound, all the books around, it's the Batman and Robin. They get out of town as quickly as they can.
This is it. The Tickler's secret hideout. The dastardly fiend always returns here.
Look at all those people with pink faces, Batman. You think they've been drinking too much carrot juice, huh?
No, Robin. They're being tickled pink. Great Scott! What's that noise? They seem to be moving downwards.
You tumbled right into my tickling trap. And even as I speak, you're heading towards the dreaded tickling chamber.
Oh, no!
Oh, yes! I can see the headlines now. Batman and Robin tickle to death.
This looks like the end, old chum.
Don't worry, Robin. There's something here in my utility belt that just might save our capes.
When you hear the squeal of the Batmobile, look out, it's Batman and Robin. On the trail of another desperate man. When they hear that sound, all the books around, it's the Batman and Robin. They get out of town as quickly as they can.
Here we are in the tickling chamber. Holy buckshot! What are you throwing, Batman?
Simple pepper, Robin. It's the only thing the Tickler's vulnerable to. I'm hurling it into the ventilation system. It can only be a matter of moments before... There he blows!
Let's keep pepper throwing, peacekeeper!
Let's get these citizens untied and out of here.
But Batman, the tickler's getting away!
Don't worry, Boy Wonder. He may have tickled his way out of jail, but he's going to sneeze himself right back in.
Holy pepper pots, Batman, you've done it again!
Yes!
When you hear the squeal of the Batmobile,